You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Try one more time. Good evening, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk's college football / sports huddle. We're going to get into some college baseball today. We'll talk about some of the regional action, and we're getting into super regionals in college baseball. Certainly something that I enjoy watching, and I know many other people do. We'll also got a little bit of football and a little bit of basketball, semi-college related basketball to talk about, as Jay Wright and Danny Hurley's names have come up in the Knicks search. We won't get into the firing of Coach Thibodeau tonight. We will on Sunday, probably on the Mac and Jack show on Friday as well. But tonight we can touch on it in the sense that I wish Jay Wright would consider this job, but I don't think he will. And Danny Hurley will be talked about a lot for this job, but I think he's a horrible fit. We can also talk about the fact that Ryan Day thinks the Big Ten deserves 4 automatic bids, no matter how many teams are in the college football playoff. And Brett Yoakum, the Big 12 commissioner, thinks the Big Ten and the SEC owe something to the rest of college football to show some restraint. And we'll also get into some baseball and whatnot. I want to welcome everybody watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We're live on the National Streaming Sports, Roku channel. My glass is crooked tonight, or is it my head is crooked? I don't understand. All the groups that allow us to share to it, we thank them for their support later on after this show is gone live, and we're plausibly live, I guess, when I share it to all you guys. Always filmed live before a live studio audience. John Gonzalez at Sports Authorities, thank you. One of the best admins out there, although we disagree on the Thibodeau situation, which we won't get into a lot tonight because it's pro basketball. But we'll talk about Jay Wright and Danny Hurley a little bit. Flo and the gang over there at Bottom Line Sports. Let's talk sports. Thumbs up. By the way, thumbs up Mac McGrath. Thumbs up to our boy Dan Harris. When we talk about Let's Talk Sports, where Flo and the gang do their podcasting. Tanner D doing a great job over there. Also, Ken Krause at Golf Bud, Sports of All Sorts. All good. I've got so many great friends in the and all the great these great. I wish I knew the admins of some of the podcast groups that I share to, because they have really boosted viewership tremendously. Organic views are just like through the roof, and I appreciate that so much. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff. Moved recently out of Pittsburgh to Ocean City, Maryland. He's back doing his sports corner on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern with Smokin' Jim Frazier. Been a guest there many times. Always enjoy Ralph's takes on sports, not just in Pittsburgh, but he's got a nationwide footprint. Does some great stuff besides the sports corner as well. Guys, I don't know where to start tonight. Let's see who's with us right now. Anybody with us at the moment? There's Michael Gott with us early, or late for him out in the UK. Midnight. Is it time for bed there, Michael? Michael, it's interesting. I don't know what your real name is, because I think you send me some information under a different name on Facebook, I think. Because I was confused. I think when I had asked you to send me something from the Sunday Stream of Consciousness, I don't remember what it was. YouTube video. I think a link to some YouTube videos. I was like, I was afraid to open it up because I didn't recognize the name. And then I somehow figured out it was you. And then the last one, I think you used Michael, at least in your text. So I was confused, just to say, not to say anything wrong with that. I'm not judging you, I promise you. Where are we going to start? We're going to start with it. We'll get to the baseball, but I want to start with a little bit of news that we have in college football, and even college basketball. We can talk about, again, there's a tie to the Knicks firing of Tom Thibodeau and college basketball. Jay Wright, who's retired from Villanova, we all know that he coached Brunson, he coached Hart, he coached Bridges to a national championship at Villanova. He'd be a great fit. I always thought he'd be a good pro coach, but I don't think of all college coaches would be. But I think there's no way in hell Jay Wright's going to do this. If I'm the Knicks, I'm going there and I'm throwing whatever I can at him. I don't think he'll take this job. I think Danny Hurley will get mentioned a lot as well. Even John Calipari's name came up. He's not coming here. Or will he be offered the job? But Danny Hurley probably will be talked about a lot, like he was for the Lakers job last year. Knicks can afford to pay him anything he wants. But unlike Jay Wright, I think Danny Hurley is also a great college coach like Jay Wright was. But I do not think he's a good fit for the NBA. So I'll throw that out there. Anybody wants to jump on that, they can certainly feel free to. In college football news, we're going to talk a lot about the playoff situation. We're going to have reseeding next year, so they're going to address that. There's not going to be a lot of, there's still some advantage to winning your conference, right? You're going to get in, but the automatic bid will not guarantee you an automatic top 4 seeding. They're just going to have 1 through 12, right? So Notre Dame, theoretically, where they could only have been at best 5th last year, could be number 1, for instance. But Ryan Day is quoted as saying that he believes the Big Ten, and there's several versions of expanding to 16 that they're talking about, right? But regardless, he thinks that the Big Ten, even over the SEC, deserves 4 automatic bids. So last week at their, what did he say? Let me just find out what he said. He said, we're the Big Ten. We're in the Big Ten, and we have 18 teams, some of the best programs in the country. I don't disagree. I feel like we deserve at least 4 automatic qualifiers. Out of 12 teams or 16 teams, I think is what he's really talking about. He talks about how Oregon and Washington, he thinks there would have been 2, if the Pac-12 had stayed together, there would have been 2 teams to get bids out there. And he might be right. Oregon and Arizona State were from the Pac-12 the year before, but I don't know. We don't know how that plays out. And I'm not going to give, because if you give 4 teams to the Big Ten, you're going to give 4 teams to the SEC. And even in a 16-team tournament, you've locked in 8 seeds with 2 leagues. And by the way, his proposal, or somebody, I think it was the Big 10's proposal. Like, they can't count. So how am I supposed to count? 4 to the Big Ten, 4 to the SEC, which is 8, 2 to the ACC, which is 10. You see how I'm counting? Isn't this impressive? 2 to the Big 12, which is 12, and 1 to the highest seeded, the 5th highest seeded conference. That's 13. That leaves 3 other bids for other teams. 1 like a Notre Dame. So they're really the only independent to be concerned about, right? I mean, this becomes now, and again, I used to have these arguments on the show with John DeLon all the time that going from 4 to 12 or whatever number we went to or go to would turn it into a participation trophy tournament. And I argued, no, that's not true. The best teams would be represented. But the more you're going to say automatically they get 4 bids, no matter how good the league is in a given year. And I don't care if you got 18 teams, you got 16 teams, you got 12 teams, you got 8 teams. There could be years where you only got 2 good teams. We've seen years where the SEC's only got 2 good teams or 1 good team throughout history. These leagues want to expand and expand and expand and then don't want to have to pay the price. They play 9 league games. The SEC will only play 8. So they they feel they should be rewarded for it. And they're not wrong in the fact that if we continue the way we're going, we won't see. They played Texas, remember, to open up the season this year. If there's not going to be, and again, I'm not arguing for it, but he's not wrong when he says they have no incentive to schedule Texas if they're only going to have, potentially one bid. But I still am not guaranteeing you 4. What are you thinking about? You could theoretically have a really bad team. If we did that this year, let's just play this out. I think I did this before, but let's play this out quickly. Again, I need the standings from last year. So the Big Ten would have been Oregon, Indiana, Penn State, and Ohio State. So you would have been right where you were last year, except, right? Same situation. But let's just play this out a little bit. Indiana's not always going to be that good. Penn State has had really bad years in the past. Not horrible years under James Franklin, but in the past, they've had some really down years. Oregon's had some down years. I mean, now you're getting into the Illinois, the Iowas. Michigan obviously had a bad year last year. But let's just say Michigan was the 4th best team in this conference and was 6-3 in the conference and, I don't know, 8-4 overall. They should get in, regardless whether they're even ranked in the top 25. That's what would happen. Well, how about the SEC? I'll get to your question in a second, your comment in a second, Michael. Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama. So Alabama would have got in last year at 5-3 and 9-4, not ranked in. Well, they were ranked in the top 25, I guess. But we've seen years where in the past where maybe Alabama or Georgia was the only really, really good team in this conference, followed by an okay Alabama or maybe a Tennessee or an Auburn. But you also could see where their 4th team could be outside of the top 25 and not even one of the best 25 teams in the country, but we're going to put them in the tournament automatically. I hate this. It is different. I thought so. I thought I was losing. It's your longtime nickname and a long story and a pseudonym. That's okay. I figured it. I did figure it out fairly quickly. I just had to. I'm very careful what I click on, obviously, as we all should be online and on my phone. But I appreciate you sending me that stuff too, Michael. Thank you. Someday you'll have to tell me the story. Is it a good story or, long stories are good as long as they're good. So I don't remember what it was now. Wish I did, but I don't. I apologize. Wow, how come? Oh, I see. I was looking at the Facebook one to see how far behind. Or I'm sorry, whether we were live over there. So anyway, I just don't like it. And then to kind of piggyback off this story, Brett Yoakum talked about. Let me find this. Big Ten and SEC must support all of football. So because the Big 12 and Brett Yoakum Yoakum have reiterated their support for the 5+11. So top 5 conferences and 11 at-large bids without all these. So only 5 automatic bids. And he knows the Big Ten and the SEC, he calls it leading the discussions. They're going to make the choice for what happens in 2026. And he's not wrong. They have a great responsibility not to just be, hogs about this. We demand for, you could end up with 2 really bad teams, relatively speaking, in this playoff if the Big Ten and the SEC get 4 bids. Now, most years, I'm not saying that will happen, especially if you're going to 16 teams. But I'm not going to change my opinion, by the way. My opinion is always going to be, you got 10 leagues, take all the champions, all of them. 6 at-large teams should be enough to get the best teams in the country in there. 5 of them probably will be, or at least 4 of them, will be from the power conferences, right? And the 5th team from whatever power group of 5 steps up should be somewhere in the top 15 or close to it. And then you're going to have 5 other leagues that maybe they're not top tier leagues. It works in basketball. Why can't we make it work in football just because there's less teams involved? Why do I have to get the 4th best team in any conference an automatic bid? Yeah, it happens in college basketball. And by the way, they're getting ready to expand as well from 72 to 76, most likely as soon as next year. And you may very well have leagues demanding X amount of automatic bids there. And I think it's ridiculous. You do not know what's going to happen from year to year. Man, I just can't deal with it. I'll get in this. We're not going to talk a lot about baseball, Michael, because this is our college show, but we can certainly dive into this more, especially Friday at 3 p.m. with the Major League Baseball update. There's Sunday where we tackle everything. But since you brought this up, I'll answer it. Ohtani could challenge this record. Or Ohtani could challenge any record right now because the Dodgers have that much depth around him. And I feel like I'm still here. Can you still hear the music playing? I apologize. I didn't totally mute this thing. I apologize for that. So I'll answer these 2 baseball comments, but let's try to get back to some college. And we can certainly dive into this more. And I'm happy to dive into it on the MLB update or the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. But Ohtani's really good, and he's playing on a really good team with a lot of guys who can drive him in. He's going to walk a lot. Plus drive himself in probably, 50 times. So, yeah, I think he's got a realistic shot of doing that. Dodgers could set all kinds of records. Apparently, I think, I don't know that I'll check this information out. We can talk more about that. Like I said, Friday afternoon. Bagwell's a great player. Unfortunately, tagged with the steroid tag. So my apologies, Michael, you're fine. I don't mean to be rude, but I don't want to go too far because again, remember, I'm going to share this to groups that aren't really going to be interested in Major League Baseball. So that's why we try to keep it as close as we can. We're going to get in some baseball though. We're going to talk about the regionals. We'll get on with that in about, 10 minutes or so. We'll look at the regional action in NCAA baseball, College World Series. Super regionals are starting this week on Friday, I want to say, the 6th. So we'll talk more about that. Yeah, so just very, very, there's our boy AC. Good to see you tonight, AC. AC, give me your thoughts. I've been talking about the playoffs. I don't think we've gotten into this, but I'm okay going to 5. I like the 5 plus 11 with the expansion in 2 years. I don't want to see the Big Ten and the SEC given 4 automatic bids every single year because every year is different. You can have teams that are just not worthy. Quite frankly, the 3rd and 4th teams in those conferences in a given year. It's not going to happen that often. But I don't want to see a really mediocre team getting in this tournament. I'd rather reward conference champions. If I'm going to bring in mediocre teams in the truest sense of the world when they're playing against the best of the best. I mean, there's plenty of leagues out there. Their teams go 11-1 or undefeated in their conference, maybe lose out of conference, and don't have a chance to get into the playoff because they're just never going to be included. The group of 5, which is really the group of 6 again, it will be once the Pac-12 is back. No, you don't need to apologize, my friend. You're all right. You're half asleep. It's like noon, or it's midnight out where you are. You're fine. We sometimes get off topic here too. Heck, the MLB update turned into the Masters show one day when we were when the Masters was being played. But I'll dive more into it. By the way, you brought up 2 great players, by the way. There's our friend Augustin from Oregon. I don't know where you're living, Augustin. I forget. I know you're the huge Ducks fan. As is our good friend Dale Scott, former umpire, Major League Baseball umpire. Speaking of umpires, I know Dale and his husband are big Oregon fans. I think they travel all over the country. Oregon's had a great year in the Big Ten last year. Here's the thing. And again, so I talked about this before, that the Coach Day from Ohio State has said that he thinks the Big Ten deserves 4 bids. And he says, even bringing in Washington and Oregon, he said the Pac-12 were in existence last year. They probably would have had 2 teams in the playoff. I'm not so sure. I mean, Arizona State made it by winning the Big 12. Who knows what would have happened in the Pac-12? You're going to play a whole different set of teams. Chances are they'd be okay, but I think only the conference winner might have got in there. Oregon or Arizona State. Or it could have been somebody totally different. Maybe USC plays better than they did. Maybe Cal plays better than they played the ACC. I don't know. We don't know. There's no way to know that they would have had 2 teams. Augustin's in California. I thought you were in California. Big Oregon fan, I know. Your team, listen, I loved your coach. I love this team. I think this team is really good and built for the Big Ten, by the way. AC likes it how it is now at 12, but just seed them the way they are seeded in national rankings. That is going to happen this year, by the way, AC. That is a done deal. There'll be no more weight given to winning your conference. They'll get automatic bids. The 5 conference champions, right? The Power 5 and the best group of 5 will get automatic bids. But they will not, just because you won your conference does not mean you're going to get one of the top 4 seeds. For instance, Boise State last year, who got a top 4 seed and a bye, would probably have been 11th in the seeding last year. I don't know where they finished, but I think it was around there. Notre Dame, to throw out one name, who could not have done better than 5th in the previous incarnation of the seeding, could now be number 1. So, and it also gets confusing, especially for casual fans, where they're like, wait a minute, I saw the rankings and this team was 3rd and now they're 8th. So it does get confusing. Also, I do think this past year was the best system of crowning a true national champion and gave everyone who deserves a shot. Why not reward all the champions, though? They're playing in, the top level of college football. Now, they don't, obviously, the Sun Belt is not playing the same level of football week after week that they're playing the SEC and the Big Ten. I'm not saying they are, but there are teams that in a given year could really put a scare into some of these teams, I think, in a playoff. And I think it would be so much fun. Because, by the way, as I said, if you had 16 teams and you went to the system that I prefer, I did not invent this, Basement Bob. I didn't come up with this on my own. You would have, theoretically, the top 10 teams in the country in this, because you got the top 5 conference winners. You would have 6 at-large teams, so 11 of the best teams in the country would be there. And then you'd have 5 other conference champions. Maybe they wouldn't have any chance at all. I don't know. But let them have a chance. Then you got a true chase for the championship. The argument I used to have with John DeLon about this being a participation trophy tournament, you don't deserve to get into the playoff if you're 4th best in your conference, but you're leaving other conference champions home. I understand you have the best league, but you decided to go to 18 teams. Nobody forced you. Nobody put a gun to your head and said, you guys are going to have 18 teams and you're going to play 9 games. Nobody said you had to do that. 9 league games, by the way. So, and I understand that the current system, and even the system I am a proponent of, would possibly eliminate some of the better non-conference games. Because why would Ohio State go out and schedule anybody but cupcakes in those 3 other games? That's Ryan Day's attitude. And I'm not sure this is the best system. I don't know if there is a best system, AC, quite frankly. To be quite honest, there's part of me that would like to go back to, whenever, 1990-ish, when the BCS first came into play, and just go back to letting the polls decide it. Yep. There was lots of controversy, but we talked a lot of college football, and it wasn't about who was going to be the freaking 12th or 16th seed in a playoff. I mean, to have a chance to win the national championship, you needed to be in the top 6 or so on New Year's Day, and all those games got played on New Year's Day, and it was wall-to-wall entertainment for 16 hours, basically. Well, 12 hours. Now, that was far from the best system. But of all the systems we've had up until now, it's still the one I prefer. Maybe it's because it's the one I grew up on. I don't know. Augustin's a fan of Oregon's only. I know Dale Scott, good umpire. Oh, you know Dale Scott, umpire good. I know you're friends with him here on Facebook and whatnot. I've had Dale on the show, interviewed him in his book. Very good book, by the way. Check out Dale Scott's book. The Umpire is Out. And I think he might even have a sequel. We might have to talk to Dale and get him on. I may owe him an apology even. I don't know, but we'll talk about that during the baseball season. Michael Gott says, recently been miffed. Oh, miffed, baby, about the powerhouse to outer house teams and fall. USC and the Canes, about the powerhouse to outer house teams. Is it miffed, Michael? Listen, I'm a Canes fan, so I get it, believe me. And I'll be on at 8 o'clock, by the way. Speaking of the Canes, I know that I'll be on with, 8:30. 8:30, I'll be on with Robert Butler on Sports Scopes. We're going to talk Cam Ward a little bit. And also some other topics. I'm sure Coach Thibodeau will come up and things like that. So, yeah, listen, USC, and I know that, we have a lot of SEC elitists that watch this show, especially when we're during football season. We'll probably go on hiatus, by the way, in a couple of weeks for a little while because summer gets kind of bleak and our diehards aren't here and there's not a lot of news to talk about. So, there was something I wanted to get into tonight, though. I do need to get to the baseball here in a second. So hopefully you guys will stick with me. I thought I found an article I wanted to talk about. Can't find it, though. No, maybe I didn't. Maybe I dreamed it. To your point, USC is really falling. USC is, one of the blue chip programs, blue blood programs in college football. The SEC people don't like to admit it. But the problem is the SEC has really only got Alabama, if you want to talk about blue bloods. right? USC's a blue blood. USC was a powerhouse for 2 decades with John McKay. Georgia's had good runs. I would not consider them, and sorry, Rick, if you're here, Sherlock. I wouldn't consider them a powerhouse not a powerhouse, but a blue blood. Blue blood means you have to have been a great team over a long period of time. USC fits that. Even as a Canes fan, a Hurricanes fan, Michael, they're not a blue blood. They had a 20-year span where they were one of the best teams in the country pretty much year after year. From 1982-ish to around 2002. Before that, they were pretty much irrelevant. And since then, they've been pretty much irrelevant. That doesn't make you a blue blood. You know, the blue bloods are Penn State's a blue blood. Ohio State's a blue blood. Alabama, Michigan. Who else would I give blue blood? Now that I'm on this topic, who else would I give blue blood standing to? I'll get to you in a second, AC, I promise. I mean, early on, blue bloods would have been Army and Navy. Now, they faded over the decades, but early on, they were powerhouses. Didn't sustain it. Nobody in the ACC is a blue blood. The Big 12, nobody's a blue blood. I'll give you Oklahoma, by the way, in the SEC now. I'll give you Texas. But I'm sorry, the Oregons of the world, you're not a blue blood. Nebraska, even though they've fallen on hard times, I'm going to give them blue blood status. And you might disagree with what I'm saying, but that's fine. That's why we have these shows, so we can have some fun. The SEC, who wants to count them? Yeah, by the way, 2 of the teams I count as blue bloods in the SEC aren't really SEC teams until last year, Oklahoma and Texas. The only team I'm going to call blue blood there is Alabama. Decade after decade after decade good. They had a lull. Even blue bloods have lulls. See what we got here. We got some comments here. I watched a few college baseball games over the past few days. So far, so good. Great games with some future MLB players. I love to watch the College World Series. I did watch a few of the conference tournament games of Big East. I watched quite a bit of. And we're going to go through the brackets real quick and give you the winners from the regionals and who'll be playing in the super regionals starting on Friday. So we'll do that in just a minute. I have a book. You had the book. It's really, really a great book. And he was a fun guest to have on. Good guy. In a similar vein to my last question, you see those teams that that were once powerhouses like USC go through lean moments. Looking from afar and not an expert, it always seems that the Buckeyes are always great. Well, again, yes, they have a lean year here and there, and they haven't a while. Not since Urban Meyer got there, certainly. But they had some down years. Michigan's had some down years. Nebraska, who the next one I'm going to probably say no. Nebraska, I call a blue blood, even though they've fallen on hard times, similar to what Michael just talked about, right? Nebraska still goes back and had decades under Bob Devaney and then Tom Osborne of great teams. Decades into the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, into the 90s. That's a blue blood. Unfortunately, the Canes had 20 years. They aren't. I'm a Canes fan. I'm a realist. Not a blue blood. Florida State, I'm going to say no because, again, they had one win under Jimbo, but they spent, they were really before like 76. And then it wasn't even until the 80s where they got really good, right? And contended for national championships. They got good in the 70s when Bobby Bowden got there. But again, before that, they were pretty much irrelevant. So I don't have decades, and that is 50 years ago. The problem when I think about blue bloods, I think they have to go back before my time. right? Now, again, that's getting to be further and further back. So we're talking 55 years before my time, because I was 10, quite to be in full transparency, not because I'm 55. Let's say 65. You got to go back and have to have been good before 1960 and been good on a fairly consistent basis since 1960, let's say. That's why Nebraska fits that. That's why Oklahoma fits that. Ohio State absolutely fits that, Michael. Alabama fits that. Although they weren't great before Bear Bryant got there. Teams that were good before my time, Army and Navy, like I said, were powerhouses. But since the 60s, no, or early 60s. Navy had a really good team in the early 60s, but Army was really gone before then. Notre Dame, definitely in blue blood. I don't know how I left them out because I was going through the conferences, I think. Notre Dame's definitely in blue blood. You go back to the 30s, they're winning national championships. So if you're winning championships every decade since I've been alive and before, then you're a blue blood. That's my own criteria, right? But I don't think I'm too far off. Right? And that's why I don't give Florida State the credence that I don't know if you do, and that's why you asked the question, AC. But because they don't predate me, I don't consider them the blue blood. But it's funny is I've used that criteria since I'm 30 years old and I'm 65 now. So it's harder to fit into my definition of a blue blood. Oh, gosh. I mean, there's a lot of teams that have been dominant for a period like, and I'd put Florida State like in the Miami category. Maybe even better than Miami. They don't have as many national championships, or do they? I don't think they do. But Miami, again, basically 20 years. That's it. Before that, after that, not so good. It's a great topic. It's one I love to dive into. I wish we had a bigger audience tonight to kind of get more opinions on this, but this is what happens in June and July and, the world of college football. We don't get a ton of, we'll get a lot of views. We'll end up with 1,200 views once I share it, but the live portion of the show drags a little bit because I've got to, we make up stuff on the fly to talk about. That's why we take a little hiatus. We'll play some, filler content at 7:00. So, AC's younger than me. A lot more predates me. Well, that's what I was talking about, right? And that good for you. I'm jelly. I am jelly of wisdom. I don't know about that. Thank you, but my wisdom. One person's wisdom is another people's idiocy. Oh God! But thank you, and that's just my criteria. And you're right. I was younger than me once too, AC. So obviously my window was different. But the teams that were really, again, great when I started to come of age of watching college football. So I knew of their history and they've been good long before me. And they've continued to be good all the years I've been alive and paying attention. I mean, most of the years, not every single year. Nobody is, right? But, there's only a handful of teams that fit their criteria. Notre Dame, although they've had their lulls, I mean, they haven't won a national championship since 1989. 88. So, again, my criteria is my own. Texas Tech softball. Texas Tech is not in the let me take a look here. Listen, I know that Texas Tech has some great softball teams. I know Oklahoma has a great softball team, which I'm sure it's a rivalry of some sorts for you. Who's alive right now? Let's take a look. I'm going to dive into the guys. We'll dive into the women a little bit here. Oh, let's see if I can find a bracket. See if this will probably work. Texas versus Texas Tech set for softball World Series bracket in 2025. Monday's results. Texas defeats Tennessee. Tech defeats Oklahoma. There you go, 3-2. I was following a tip. I was following a thread on one of the groups I follow, and they were talking about this game last night. I know that Oklahoma was leading this game, if I'm not mistaken, for much of the game. So good for them. The World Series finals are set. Game one, I'm going to say it's going to be Texas against Texas Tech. There's a pretty good rivalry. Those games will be, game one will be on the 4th, which is tomorrow. Oh, that's today, 8 p.m. We'll watch that game when we get done with this show. Because there's really no college baseball to watch until Friday. There's LSU was playing today, but the game's probably over. It was meaningless, I think, anyway. I think the field was pretty much set for the Super Regionals. But anyway, game one of the Softball World Series is tonight on ESPN. Game 2 is on Friday at 8 o'clock on ESPN. And game 3, if necessary, will be, well, that can't be right, June 5th. Are they playing a doubleheader? That can't be right. They must have the wrong date in there. I believe, so I see a video here. I'm watching a video on a different, what inning is that? The walk-off? They had a walk-off sacrifice fly the other night. And they beat Oklahoma, who was one of the biggest. Wreckham Tech. They're playing well. Is that your team, Michael, in college sports in general, by the way? Let me get this off my ear now. Now I can't get this out of my ear. There we go. Wreckham Tech. Do I think the changes in college football have been implemented, Keith, to give non-blue bloods a chance? No, I think it's to protect the blue bloods. Let's see, maybe I'm reading this wrong. Have been implemented to give non-blue bloods a chance against the blue bloods? Looking for parity in the game, or has that always been the case? I'd like to see parity, Michael. And Tip, sorry. Oh, that's Michael Gott. Sorry. I got two Michaels going here. So, Michael, no, I don't think. I think college football would like to see some parity, but the problem is because of the money, follow the money, always follow the money. Because of the money, the SEC, the Big Ten are going to demand 4 automatic bids. 4. That's 8 out of 16 when they get to 16 in 2 years. That's not parity. Well, there will be some non-blue bloods that get those bids. Some of those bids in the SEC and the Big Ten, I get that. But you're going to have years where the 4th best team in the Big Ten or the SEC is not going to be that good. Won't even be in the top 25. Not that often, but it will happen. I would rather see parity. You know what parity would be? Having a true championship tournament with all the conference winners represented. There's only 10. Soon to be 11 whenever the Pac-12 comes back into existence. Expand it if you want. Give 4 buys. Go to 20. Give 4. Well, I don't know if that would work. I got to get to 16. Whatever. There are days I just want to go back to the old bowl system and let the polls pick the freaking winners. Right? Graduated from UTEP, but your family is from Lubbock. So we're all Tech fans. That's, you know what? Some pretty good programs. And by the way, I think it's great news. We're going to look at this. This was this other story that I wanted to touch on. And I'm glad you got me back to where I wanted to go. I've forgotten what I wanted here. Great news, and I'm sure Texas Tech fans will enjoy this. Ronnie Bear, another Ronnie Bear from Amsterdam, New York, my almost hometown. Us Perth guys said we lived, north of the city. When I told my wife I lived near the city, she thought I was from New York City. No, I just hung out in Amsterdam. Ronnie Bear is a transplanted Red Redder fan. As a Tech fan, Tip, what I was going to say is it's good news because Mike Leach needs to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Am I right? And they did lower the standard to a winning percentage because they had some stupid. Listen, Howard Schnellenberger, in my mind, belongs in a Hall of Fame. Now, his winning percentage is only a little bit over 500, so he'll never get considered. Mike Leach was like at 598 or something. It was 600 where he had to be to get in. They lowered it to 595 this year. I think he might have a chance to win. Here's the guys on the ballot, by the way, because I wanted to get this out there. And it is a topic that we can talk about if you'd like. Mark Ingram, who was Alabama's first Heisman winner in 2009. That's very shocking that they didn't win a Heisman at Alabama until 2009, by the way. Cam Newton and Robert Griffin III, RG3, will be on the ballot, along with Brad Banks, Eric Bieniemy at Colorado. Can't even get his number retired probably, but Sugar Sanders can. Oklahoma State's Des Bryant, Penn State's Kajana Carter, great college running back. Pittsburgh's Aaron Donald, Syracuse's Marvin Harrison, Oklahoma's Josh Heupel, Ohio State's James Laurinaitis, Ohio State's Ryan Leaf, California's Marshawn Lynch, Illinois' Simeon Rice, and Florida State's Peter Warwick. Among the coaches on the ballot are Larry Coker, Gary Patterson, and Chris Peterson. And I believe they also announced an adjustment to the eligibility criteria to be considered for induction, but it doesn't look like Mike Leach is available to be inducted this year. I'm a little shocked. Maybe they didn't want to make it look like they lowered it just for him. He had a 596 winning percentage. They lowered it to 595. Beginning in 2027. That's why. Mike Leach belongs in the Hall of Fame. Mike Leach, did he win national championships? No. But he took moribund programs. Texas Tech was nowhere. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tip. Texas Tech was nowhere when Mike Leach got there. Washington State was nowhere when he got there. Mississippi State was nowhere when he got there. He brought this air raid offense that he learned along with Hal Mummy from when he was on the staff at Kentucky, I believe, and revolutionized college football with this air raid offense. A lot of teams run this now. The silly criteria that you have to have coached a minimum of. One of the criteria is coached had a 600 win percentage. What's the other one? Is there another? They don't show them here. There's a couple other silly criteria, like you have to have coached 10 years for the same team. I mean, come on. Or have a 600 winning. That's just, again, Howard Schnellenberger also changed the landscape of college football at Miami. Jimmy Johnson took it to another level. Without Howard Schnellenberger, there's no Miami program for Jimmy Johnson to go and become a superstar at. None. Just saying. So those are the college football Hall of Fame ballot. This is not the inductees. We'll find out. Oh, I forgot. Ndamukong Suh is also on that ballot. Actually, there's more than that. There's 79 players and coaches. 79 players and 9 coaches from football bowl subdivision, and 100 players and coaches from the lower levels. So we'll see. They aren't going to take that many. I'm still shocked that Mark Ingram was Alabama's first Heisman Trophy winner. That's a little shocking, isn't it? So anyway, because of Tip and Ronnie Bear, I'll be rooting for Texas Tech over Texas in this upcoming softball World Series. Let's get to, well, we're not going to talk about the Knicks, that's for sure. We'll probably talk about the Knicks with Robert Butler at 8 o'clock. You know what I'm going to do right now, though, is I'm going to say goodbye to our Roku audience tonight. So if you're watching on Roku and commenting on Facebook or YouTube, go watch us there, because Robert Butler comes on at 8 o'clock, and I want to make sure that we're clear for him. I'm going to dive into some college baseball, and I don't want to inhibit that. So you Roku guys will be live Friday at 3 p.m. Actually, we'll have a encore interview with Mackie Sasser, former Met catcher, at 9 o'clock on Friday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. And at 3 p.m. we'll be live with the college football huddle. So you can catch us then. And, of course, Sunday we've got the always entertaining Sunday stream of consciousness. So please join us then. You guys in Roku, will see you later. The rest of you stay with me. And we'll look at some college baseball as we go forward here. And I'll be on at 8:30 with Robert Butler as well on Sports Scopes. Looking quickly at the regionals and who came out of each one. The Nashville regional had Vanderbilt, ETSU, and Wright State eliminated. Louisville advances out of that group to play Miami, who came out of the Hattiesburg regional and eliminated Alabama, South Miss, and Columbia for you New York fans. Obviously, hopefully they were able to stem the protesting there. So the U is on to the super regionals against, the Louisville Cardinals. These games, I believe, are 2 out of 3, and they will advance to the round robin college World Series from there. The Tallahassee region, Florida State does advance over the likes of Bethune-Cookman, Northeastern, and Mississippi State. And they will play Oregon State, who moved on at the expense of TCU, USC, St. Mary's. So Oregon State against Florida State. Gotta like Florida State in that group right there. I'm going to get, Michael, I'll get to your comment there in just a second. Football. Back to football. Let me stay on baseball for a second. North Carolina comes out of the Chapel Hill area. They're played pretty much on their home field. They eliminated Holy Cross, Oklahoma, and Nebraska. They'll face Arizona, who beat Oregon, Utah Valley. Wow, Utah Valley. And Cal Poly. Arizona advances to play North Carolina. I got to like Arizona in that matchup, although North Carolina played very well in the ACC this year. Down year for Wake Forest. They did make it to the regionals, but were eliminated in a group that included Tennessee. Auburn comes out of the group. Oh, wait a minute. Coastal Carolina comes out of the group that included Fairfield, East Carolina, and Florida. They'll play Auburn. Coastal Carolina, good program, not normally seen on the big stage. So I may be rooting for the underdog here against Auburn, who defeated the likes of Central Connecticut, Stetson, and North Carolina State. You move over to the other side of the bracket. Arkansas, a bit of a surprise. They were the 3rd seed. By the way, they're ranked 3rd in the country right now, Arkansas. The teams that I've mentioned so far, by the way, Miami, unranked. Florida State, 9. Oregon State, 8. So you got Louisville playing Miami, unranked in this before going into this tournament. UNC, ranked 5th. Arizona, unranked. Auburn, 4 against number 13, Coastal Carolina. Number 3, Arkansas comes out of the Fayetteville area, playing at home, basically. Kansas, Creighton, and North Dakota State eliminated from there. Tennessee comes out of the Knoxville group, Miami, Wake Forest. Wake Forest had a couple of really good years, and they've fallen by the wayside a bit. And Cincinnati eliminated there. So you got 3 against 14. Number 6, LSU comes out. They didn't have any losses in this tournament, by the way. Clemson, I don't know what that one is. USC Upstate. West Virginia advances over those teams. LSU, sorry. Rhode Island, Little Rock, and DBU, West Virginia, unranked, will play number 6, LSU. Unranked Duke comes out of the Athens region. Georgia, the home team, eliminated. Binghamton eliminated right here in New York State. Oklahoma State eliminated as well. They'll play Murray State, also unranked. They eliminate Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, and Western Kentucky. Number 15, UCLA comes out of the Los Angeles region, their home region. Fresno State eliminated, UC Irvine and Arizona State. And UTSA, Texas San Antonio, also representing Texas, eliminates Texas. The Huskies, it looks like. I don't know who that is. That's too funny. And Kansas State. So 15th ranked UCLA will play UTSA. The teams I like right now, and we're going to do this show through the College World Series. The teams I like right now to advance will be Miami, Florida State. These teams will all go to Oklahoma City. I'll say North Carolina. I'm going to switch that pick up. Coastal Carolina. So there's the 4 teams from that side of the bracket. On the other side, UTSA in an upset over UCLA. Sorry, Danny Fuller. Murray State will beat Duke. LSU will defeat West Virginia. And Arkansas over Texas. That's going to be your group in playing it for the College World Series in Oklahoma City. These super regionals, by the way, are best of 3. The regionals were double elimination. So that's where we stand in college baseball. I think they'll be exciting. Watch some games this weekend. These super regionals will start on the 6th of June and go through, I believe, Sunday and Monday. And then next weekend, we'll start the College World Series. Michael Gotts back on football. Top teams in the FPI Natty odds. What's FPI, by the way? Give me a heads up there. To win the odds are Texas, Canes at 8. Every year the Canes seem overrated. Listen, I love the Canes. I'm still not sold on the quarterback. I'm still not sold on the head coach. This was a year for them to get it done, and they just weren't good enough. Outsiders, Auburn better start winning for Hugh Freeze's sake. Michigan and Oklahoma. Oklahoma, another team that needs to do well to be able to keep their coach Venable employed as well. Much talent there for that team to keep going 6-7, 7-6. He needs a playoff appearance soon. So, well, guys, you know what? We're going to wrap it up a little bit early tonight because I've got a situation I have got to deal with something at the house here. So we're pretty much out of content for right now. I'll be on at 8:30. Check us out with Robert Butler. I'll be on at 8:30 with him. We're going to talk some Ward. I know not Ward. Cam Ward, and some other topics. I'm sure the Knicks will come up. So maybe some baseball and the Yankees. So always have fun with Robert. Join us then. For now, Keith Engle out. You'll catch me on the Mac and Jack Show Friday morning. We'll have the MLB update live, and we have an encore interview with Mackie Stasher at 9 a.m. Friday. So you guys have a great night. Have a good one. See you later, Michael. Bye-bye.